Oh, yeah. For this one.
Okay, we'll bring this, council meeting for the agenda to order, and, we'll have a roll call of city council.
Montague,
Present.
Gerhart,
Here.
Tiltus, here, Winklehorst, Van Wert,
Here.
4 present, 1 absent.
Very good. So now we'll have we'll this meeting open at 6, and we'll have the proposed property tax levy for fiscal year July 21, 2026.
We have to approval of agenda
Okay,
first.
have that. Then,
I move to approve the agenda. We had,
okay,
didn't
yeah,
have a motion
okay.
yet.
Second.
Get things in order. All right.
Roll call.
Now we can vote.
We'll
Yes.
get there. So,
Yes.
Fleck,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
this is maybe going to I'm gonna be typing.
You're doing good.
All right, so now we'll, at this time then, if we'll ask for questions or discussions from the public that is present with us. If you have any questions or discussion?
In regards to the tax? In regards to the tax?
Right.
that what you're asking?
To the budget, yeah.
Okay.
It's to the levy.
This is not
The
the
budget
budget.
itself,
The
but
budget.
the levy.
Which is this, that says we're
The
gonna have an increase?
Yes.
Is it like that we for sure having an increase, or is there so we don't have, that? I guess I don't know what there is to comment other than it's.
There is no say so.
Yeah.
It's already a
it's-
done deal.
I will say that
Is that what's going on?
I think it's extremely hard, and I think that especially as a small business and a resident, like I don't know how we continue to bring people to West Bend. I think that like me looking at it from my small business alone, between just all the expenses and costs, it's concerning, and I don't. To the point where it's like, how long can we still stay here? Because it's definitely, it's a lot. And I don't think that we're encouraging anyone either, new businesses to come to town, and I just don't know how we continue to make it, is my only comment, I guess, on it.
I appreciate that comment. It is a tough, there's no question. I guess if you remember my comment at the public meeting last Wednesday, and I really think, and hopefully as time goes on, we get, this message, I mean, we really need to talk to, well, I just heard on the radio driving around tonight, they're doing something at state level, what that'll be, who knows? I mean, I didn't hear much information on it. But I know, or at least I made a comment earlier in the day that it's pretty much the levy is pretty much just cover the increases.
Yeah, because if you looked at what the total dollar amount would be for that increase in the levy, it was $18,930. So, if we would not receive that $18,000, then we would probably have to look at cutting wages, cutting, streets that we would be maintaining. There's also maintenance that we need to do on a street building this fiscal year. And then we're also needing to put reserves away for street cleaning machine. So, and then also, there's been increases in property liability insurance. So then where do you think you would feel we need to cut then? You want us to cut fire, police, library, or do you have some ideas of where we would cut?
Well, I guess, the street maintenance, what does that include?
Mostly it is just the capital outlay, which would be when we come in and hire a company that comes in and mills out and puts an overlay on, or sometimes we'll just do the crack filling, we replace curb and gutter, it's very rare that we do a whole street, like a full-blown project. This is more or less maintenance. If we did a full-blown project, we'd probably have to borrow money to do it.
So collectively, the city people are all of us are paying 18,900.
Right, this is the
Right.
whole total budget, so this is our general fund, so I'll just read off to you the programs that are included in that, just so you can get an idea of the magnitude of, you know,
Right.
what that
Be
18
helpful.
is covering,
Yeah.
you know, the whole city. So we have the police department is one, fire department is one, emergency management, animal control. That's our public safety. And then we would go into the public works, which includes roadway maintenance, which we were just kind of talking about,
Mm-hmm.
storm sewers, and we've got street lighting, traffic safety, street cleaning. And then we move into the health and social sciences, which is like our mosquito control.
Right.
So we pay for that to be done every year.
So is this increase it just affects the people in town,
Right.
right? This
Yep.
one. Okay,
Yes.
so then if I'm reading, and then the county is also increasing? Is that, did you guys get these,
But
right?
that's
You guys
not-
all got these,
Yeah,
right?
that's-
And the school is also increasing, is that, am I reading all these right?
Yeah, yeah. And we don't have any control over those other budgets.
No, I
only
know
the
that, I'm
city.
just wondering if I'm reading this correctly, like
yes.
you know,
Yes.
everybody else read it.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
I would just.
Oh, do you want me to finish all the programs?
Sure.
or-
Sure.
Okay,
yeah.
so then we have culture and recreation, that would be the library. And then we have parks and recreation and ice skating and our community center. And then the next program that those general fund monies help with is community and economic development. So we have community beautification, we have economic development, we have housing programs. We have planning and zoning, and then we did have the downtown facade program. And then just other community and economic development things that might come up. Then our other one is general government, so that covers the mayor and council. It also covers the city clerk, treasurer, and administration. And then we have elections that we have to pay for, legal services, and then a big one is the property and liability insurance. And then the last one is debt service. Now this is a special levy, it's not part of just the regular 810. This would be on top of that. And right now, we do not use the debt service levy. We transfer money from local option sales tax to pay for any GO bonds that we have right now. That way, it's not increasing the levy rate to the public. So those are what's covered under that general fund, which is that notice that you received. And it shows, let me just hold on and look at what the rate is, I don't know it off the top of my head. So the total rate that we're looking at going to is 11.42467.
Mm-hmm.
So that includes all those general fund programs, the property and liability insurance.
So that's higher than this 9.59 that you guys have on this other.
That's a percentage change. That's showing percentage.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, that's something totally different. And then, the FICA and IPERS and other employee benefits, those are a separate levy that's added onto that 810 one to bring us down to that total of the 11.42467.
So of the 18,900, what does that work out to be per taxpayer in the city?
Well, they used to do, in that letter, they would everybody's values are so different, there's no way to I mean, you know, your value is gonna be totally different than the
Oh,
person
yeah,
sitting
we
next
just
to
have
you.
to, yep. Mhm.
You know, you just gotta apply
Yeah,
it
to
to
the
what your,
percentage
so
rate,
in
yeah.
January, you should have gotten something from the assessor's office that gives you what your
Mhm.
value is, your assessed value.
Yep.
So then you should be able to take that sheet,
Mhm.
divide that amount by the 1,000,
Mhm.
and then multiply it out by this levy rate.
Yep.
But you have to make sure that you're also, taking into account the rollbacks on that assessed value. So, let's see, residential rollback is 44.5345%, whereas the commercial rollback is 90%. So that's why on that public hearing notice, it shows that there's that percentage difference between what the residential, they presume will increase, and the commercial property, because there is that difference in the rollback. So commercial property is always gonna be a little bit more when they apply that percentage for increases,
Mhm.
just because they don't get the rollback that the residential does.
Okay, thank you.
That was just going to be my comment. With those rollbacks in place, which I understand are part of the state code, it puts a disproportionate burden on the businesses in town. And then, you know, we think about coupling that with a wastewater treatment facility, and the cost that would be incurred due to that. And it just starts to get pretty cost,
Awesome.
it's a cost burden. And I just, as somebody who lives in town and has a business in town, the difference between those two rates is pretty significant. For the business itself, based on my own calculations, I think we're looking at probably almost a $1,200 increase just this year. So it's significant.
It is. I would agree.
Yeah, we don't have control over that, the state sets that, so.
Yeah,
I guess-
Talk to your legislators, because they're not giving cities any more money.
Yeah,
you know.
I guess I would just like to comment,
But people,
that hopefully you can control the things that you do have the ability to control. I know that we just gave a nice raise, $10 an hour to ISG. It was unanimous, for their professional service fees and their 2-year extension on their contract. And then I've noticed on just, being here and a lot of the unanimous votes for different projects like the camera system, that we only get one bid.
No, we actually got some, most of the time, we're doing some things internally,
Mhm.
and,
I think if you could share some of those things, it might shed some light that actually is being done, because it doesn't seem that way when people are coming and viewing you guys doing that. I saw one,
well, I think
bid
that
in
the
the packet that
council
was-
is trying to have confidence in their employees to make some good decisions too.
and I understand that, but transparency does help the community see that, as opposed to just people in this room.
Well, I guess the council can make that decision if they wanna do the
Unanimously,
process
they
that
may.
way. Mhm.
What kind of building improvements are we looking at? Is that something like, I guess, unlike the beautification and like building improvements, things like that, like we obviously, I guess, like have a lot of people in the community too that are very talented and stuff like that. I mean, is there anything like that could be donated, or like does that just not even an option, or what kind of improvements is included in that, I guess, or needed?
So the improvements that we're looking at doing this next fiscal year would be to the old county shed out on Highway 15. It needs new doors put in. We did, our city employees had kind of done some drainage improvements there last year so that water wasn't getting in that building. So we want to do some siding improvements on the front and then put in better doors. That's where we store our larger street equipment.
Okay. I guess the employee wages and benefits, is that like all of, like, does this include, or like, does this how the employee wages are paid out just entirely, and that is to include or account for raises and things like that, or is this, what exactly is that
This
including?
is proposed increases in wages for the general fund employees. So those programs that I read off, so it
Mhm.
would be
The
police,
librarian and
library,
the people who run the
parks,
pool.
swimming pool.
Mhm.
And that was based off the 3% that you guys approved and previously 5%.
Previous years it had been 5%, yes.
Alright.
Not
Well-
too long ago, with my new job here, I've been able to sit in with Palo Alto County when they're discussing like their EMA, and, yeah, I was in an assessor meeting and stuff too, and I heard Linus Solberg, he's the chairman of the supervisors of Palo Alto County, and he said it like this, in West Bend, so what happens is like, cause they just went through that, a real similar discussion what we're having here, as I sit in on, and they said, what Linus said, if they don't like keep their employees, somewhere, level, what the next county over is, then they just jump over. He said what happens is they'll come in, and I think Joe could probably explain this with the electrical department a few years ago, so people will come to a small place like this, get trained. So a little place like this pays to train them, then they jump off to, say go up to the county or go up to the state level. So that's one thing, cause like I said, this was a real similar conversation, but I mean, all your smaller communities are faced with this, and I think wasn't that kind of with electrical?
Oh, yeah,
When I first
we
moved
got to
here.
the point where we couldn't hire anybody.
Yeah.
Because the turnover was so great, and,
So, I mean, yeah, you do have some, so I guess you have to sort it out, you pay a little more to try to keep them here, but you're kind of pay it in training, so.
Oh,
it's tough.
I understand that, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Right, we don't
I-
wanna invest in their training for them to jump ship right away, and,
Right.
no, nobody wants that.
And the care center, they go through that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
They're constantly training, and, it's a tough act to try to balance it all out.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's part of the reasoning for the COPEG,
yeah,
because we're sharing people with
3 towns.
three other towns,
Yeah.
Mhm.
which allows us to split up the wages among a little bit.
And here again, they had that conversation over in Palo Alto, but they're starting up I think the states may be encouraging this, trying to share stuff, back and forth. Well, I just read something a while back, was it Pocahontas and Lorenz, I think they share a police chief. The school here is sharing with Gilmore City. So as time goes on, do we have to do more of that? I would have to come up with some solutions.
Yeah.
but the other thing about that budget too is, people want amenities, we had a group last year come to us, wanted a pickleball court, they wanted a city park, we got a splash pad, and there was funds raised for some of that, but also the ongoing maintenance and whatever it takes to run those things, swimming pools. That all takes money, and people expect you to have that stuff, so somebody's gotta pay the bill, and normally it's your residents,
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I get it, I just,
Right.
like I said, as a small business, I mean, we've been here less than 5 years. I personally have not taken a paycheck for my business since the day I started. So I get it, and I understand not wanting to have those competitive wages and stuff, but and great benefits. However, it's just I'm over here, just trying to make ends meet,
Absolutely.
and so that's the hard, that's the difficult part about it. And when we're looking at possibly facing so many increases, are other towns the same amount of increase, or what do they look like? I don't know. What is that?
And I'll just give you an example, with the wastewater. I was looking at, just on my phone, I looked a week or so ago on Sway City.
Mm-hmm.
They put a Sanger system in, and I was just
Yeah.
looking to see what that, so I went into some of the comments. And those comments I read on that, whether YouTube or whatever it was almost the same comments that, we heard
Yeah.
last Wednesday. So I mean, we're not alone.
Yeah. No, I meant these, the property tax increase and stuff like that. Are they
Well, I think,
pretty equal, to other towns and stuff, or?
I mean, the county's sure facing it.
I
Yeah.
think most of them are higher than us, actually.
having had a business in 3 different communities in the past, not real recent, but, in the last 5 years, Spencer and Esterville. Our store out here was, by far had the best rates of electric, water, sewer, taxes, the whole works, you know. So,
I think what helps West
I mean-
Bend is that local option sales tax.
yeah, we have that.
Since we've gotten that, our rates have been able to come down quite a bit. We don't have to use that debt service levy. That, I mean, if you go to those other smaller towns around us that have higher rates than we do, I bet it's because they're using a debt service levy.
And they don't have utilities to contribute. I mean, we make some transfers to the general
We do.
fund from our
Mhm.
utilities.
And didn't we
Every-
have some sort of a cut a couple years ago about money that, or percentage or some, I can't remember
We were
specifically.
ratcheted back, right.
Cause I know that really affected a lot of libraries and just a lot of towns.
Yes, so we
What was
didn't get the
available.
total amount that we could have, just because generally we always, levy that 810 for just our standard, levy amount, and that's the maximum that you can do through the state. And, they came up with an idea that they wanted to get all the towns in the state of Iowa at the 810 levy or lower, because there were some that were using a library levy or emergency levy. There were some other options for them too. So now it's called a consolidated levy, and so everybody, it's probably in the next couple of years, everybody will be at the 810 until they decide that, I think they're kind of coming up with some other changes they might be making too that will restrict cities. I think they're trying to push it so you'll only be able to do like a 2% increase every year. That's in the talks right now. So probably future is gonna get a little tighter for cities.
It's a challenge from every angle.
But
It
I
is.
think our levy is hovered around that 11, between 11 and 12.
Yeah, I usually give you a history in your,
Oh, is
your
it in there?
binder there. Yep, it should be in the first few pages.
Oh,
Right in front of the number 1 tab, I think it should be. Shows you each year since I've been here. And, like I said, initially when I started, we didn't have the local option sales tax, and so the levy rates were much greater back then. So I think we're doing pretty good.
And how's that gonna look if Governor Reynolds freezes for 65 and older? Are you all looking at ideas for revenue if you can't raise
It's gonna
taxes
be
on
making cuts.
making some
Yep,
cuts?
I mean, there is nowhere else we can raise revenue.
Right.
There's nothing. The general fund works off of the taxes that you take in.
Will then
So-
that shift the burden to the younger group that is here?
Well, I don't think so, because they were talking that they're gonna freeze it, so it's only a 2% increase, so I don't know how they're gonna structure it.
Sure.
I don't know that they've made that known yet.
Got it. Yeah, I know it's still working and through
Yeah, yep, there's.
but it's pretty aggressive.
It is. That's why I kinda hope they do a little study on that before they pass something, just because it could be a huge impact on cities. Because you look at West Bend,
That's what
the
I mean.
majority of West Bend
Correct. You
is
just gotta
Elm.
freeze them, and then
Yeah.
it's like holy
Yeah.
buckets.
Yeah, it can have a huge impact, so.
Yeah, so if you look at our tax levy, what we've been asking, though, I mean, we've kept that pretty well in check. I mean, it hovers, was 11.4 now, it was 10.7. In 2000, it was 16.4. So, I mean, we've, I think, done some things responsibly.
Yeah, I think we're pretty conservative for the most part.
Yeah, I think
You have to continue to do maintenance on what you have. You can't not do it, or you're gonna find yourself in bad trouble.
Well, I experienced that. I worked for the government 30 years out in New York, and so a lot of times the county highway I worked for, it's easy to cut the highway budget. Cause you can do that, and they did that, but then then pretty soon you find yourself playing catch up. Now, New York's case, they just go borrow money and then they charge you more. That's how they solve it, but I'm not a fan of that. But they have, I've seen that happen before. If if you don't keep up somewhat with your streets and stuff, there's certain things you can do. You gotta be a little careful, it costs you more on the backside. It does up front.
Like on the street this is a random question, I guess, on the street maintenance, is there anything we can do to like improve our plowing situation when it snows? Cause our roads are just terrible. Like, I don't feel like it's getting, I don't know if they're not plowing far enough down or what, but like, it's just constantly packed in a sheet of ice.
Yes, speaking from experience, like the snow we just had,
Yeah,
unless you get out there and plow as it's coming down,
yeah,
you're something.
which I understand that.
Yeah.
I do kinda think that it would have helped if we would have like plowed maybe middle of the day on Sunday before the second bout. I think that would have helped, but
We
like,
don't pay overtime.
You can spend a lot of money moving snow.
And see, I can speak from experience, it's kind of, that job's kind of like being a school superintendent. When you decide to close school or not close school,
Yep.
50% agree with you, 50% don't.
That's
I used to
I have
check
just
those.
a question,
Yeah,
just a
and
common
I did that,
question.
and that's a tough thing to do, and Trevor makes that call, right? Is that, yeah, that's his call, and, yeah, so he's, here again, I mean, it's just very tough,
Well, the problem we have also with the warm weather we've had is the streets are thawing, and they can't just drop the plow down hard or they're tearing up
Mhm.
what we got.
Yeah, it's a tough.
I think all in all, the guys do a pretty good job of street maintenance, street sweeper and plowing snow. I mean, I get to other communities a fair amount. I don't find many that are better than ours after a snowstorm. That's my own personal opinion, but Algona, Fort Dodge, Humboldt, Adel, I mean, I get to a lot of towns, it seems like, and I think we do a pretty good job. Not perfect, but
It's tough. But I really do, I will say in all reality, what you're doing here tonight is how, it's how to help things, find solutions, and to me, I've talked to my state people, even
Yeah.
before I moved here, I used to quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, it's the key, I mean, that's,
Yep.
So, in the long run, we get some of this, sewer treatment plans, in order to straighten, some around. I'd like to see this same committee, I could tell you, move it up a notch and try to,
Mhm.
cause people, a volume, gets the message across.
Yeah,
It really is,
absolutely.
yeah, my blunt opinion, they don't want these small communities. The bigger places, they want our money.
yeah,
So it does, it's very difficult, that's very difficult.
As active service businesses that these ladies are in, they encounter a lot of people too, so the more that we can understand and know, right, cause people come at these ladies every day wondering, talking the same things, right?
Yeah.
We just wanna have as much information so that we're
Sure.
putting the supportive thing back out.
well, the state keeps cutting stuff, so whether it's your income tax or your property tax or whatever relief they say they have, well, they're not concerned about cities.
Right, yeah, oh, I
So,
know,
and that filters right down, I mean,
Well, they also just, over the years, if they decide, like, commercial property, it used to be taxed at 100%. There wasn't that 90% rollback.
Yep.
And then the state says, okay, well, we're gonna give this, extra discount to commercial businesses. But then, and then they will backfill for the city, so that it's not a loss of tax revenue for cities. But then you get, new people in the legislature, and then, oh, well, we're gonna phase that out.
yeah,
So we've had that happen, I guess, since I've been here a few times with different programs that, they'll put in place, and then we're gonna help fund that or backfill it, and then it goes away.
They also sometimes they raise the rate and you have to look at what your, evaluation is, because sometimes, not always, but sometimes they raise the rate but lower the evaluation. Sometimes they go the other way,
Mm-hmm.
and then you need to be talking to your local assessor.
Right.
You can actually probably have more control of it there than, I'm not saying that he's gonna agree or anything.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
They're always hunting for volunteers on that assessor board
Mhm.
that makes those adjustments. I'm not going there.
It's a popular position.
Very good. Do we have any other discussion on this? Been a good discussion, I think.
Kind of looking at both sides of the fence here, but the alley behind Tara's business, the grocery store, Campbell's Catering, Community Lumber, all are growing businesses, and to me, that's the worst alley in town.
Mm-hmm.
Who makes that call? Is it Trevor? Where we spend X amount of money? I know we're doing some improvements somewhere else, but that alley is terrible.
Isn't that the street,
there's
when
a
we
street
get our
committee.
street money
Yeah.
and decide
So
what can be done?
Yeah, the street committee will take a look at, all the streets here now that everything's thawed. And then usually the street committee will go with the public works department and highlight different areas that they think need attention. So that would be something, Blake, that you would wanna relay to the public works department.
Okay,
And then, you know, they can plan for it. Now, we only have so much money that we can spend, so we gotta spread it out around the whole town. We usually do the worst, you know, things first.
Kind of another issue in that alley is that there's not enough grade there to get rid of the water.
right. And so behind the community center is the
Yes.
worst. It create a huge pond.
But you're working on bids for that now, right?
And then 2 days later, that pond's gone on an asphalt surface. That has to go somewhere. You know, we talk about what goes into our lagoon. To me, that's its only choice. I guess it could go
No, it can go to the
into a
street.
storm sewer.
Well, we wanted to go to the street to find a
Yeah.
storm sewer, yeah.
Yeah, and which is in the alley.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it could be doing that, but it's.
Is there any storm sewer in that alley?
Well, not in the alley
There
itself.
is.
We need to get it to the street.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if they could get the grade of that alley a little bit better so that it would flow, you know, toward the street.
We can
Yeah.
excavate that alley and resurface it, then take our whole street budget for a year.
For the entire year.
Well, and that's the problem, you know, we see these things that
Maybe a little
need to
more.
be fixed, but you
We're
only
not
have so
able to
much
do.
money to work with, and, you know, I know you guys don't wanna see us increase that levy either. We don't wanna increase the levy, but you have to spread the money out amongst all those programs that I read off. And streets is probably one of the most expensive pieces of the
Oh.
budget.
Wasn't too many years ago when those were gravel or maybe mud.
Mostly mud.
And we seal coated them, and that's,
And you got Les's there too. All 1, 2, 3, 4 growing businesses. That alley is very busy.
Yeah, I see it's a ton of traffic.
I live on First Up to Care Center.
Sees a lot of truck traffic, which is hard on it.
Oh, yeah, you
Yeah.
got semis coming in there twice a week.
Right.
yeah,
But actually, you two are gonna get to decide that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
You're
street
on the street committee.
Like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And that fence, white fence there behind Campbell's Catering, Campbell's Grocery,
Oh, yeah.
is that the city's or is that the funeral home?
That's a funeral home,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
not the cities.
Needs to be moved to the other side of the sidewalk. But that's a different issue.
good luck.
That's you. The one that's right out in the alley, or?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it makes it narrower and I understand from the funeral home perspective, a bit of a barrier, but if it was on the other side of the sidewalk, it'd give the bicycle traffic more room and, you know, semis and everything would just have that much more room.
All right, very good.
That's why I go park in the funeral home parking lot when I'm trying to work.
Yeah.
Tell me I can't.
I'll tell you, you can't.
All right, any other discussion? That's it, been a good discussion. Well, if there's nothing else, we look for adjournment.
I'll move to adjourn.
Linda,
Second.
Joe. We'll adjourn this.
We get a roll call.
Linda,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
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 adjourn.
Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Thanks for
questions.
having us. Thanks for the clarification.
Are you guys rolling right into the council meeting or is
No, we have to
it
leave.
7?
We have to leave and come back.
Oh, I mean,
Really?
This is a crazy
Yeah.
meeting, you have to leave and come back.
That is interesting.
This
Yeah,
is some new
rules for
state
some reason.
regulations.
Huh.
hang out in here because this is you can do that, right? You can just hang out in here. Or?
10, 15 minutes.
We don't have. We're not
You
official.
guys can do whatever